Hello and welcome from the studio for today's webinar, part of the SIECAM 8 series around the new power automation platform. And you might already have seen something around the SIECAM 8 because on March 9th, we had the unboxing event for that. And if you missed that, no problem. We've recorded it, and with this registration for our webinar series, you have automatically access to the recording. And yes, we will record today's webinar too. I'm Michaela Mönekes. You might already know me from some of the electrification and automation webinars. And if you want to meet me, just come by on Hanover Fair this year. I'll be there as a tour guide. And today I'm going to guide you through this webinar, and that's why we start with a short glimpse into the agenda. What can you expect from us today? My dear colleague Michael will start with a short introduction of the new platform SIECAM 8. Then you will get to know a bit about the concept of it. We will share some information on components and applications on the SIECAM 8, and you will also receive an outlook into the roadmap that is planned for the SIECAM 8. And let's see, we want to make it vivid. We want to make it an interactive presentation. All right, with the presentation itself, that'll be a bit difficult, but please type your question to the speaker in the upper field which says question to the speaker. We will collect those questions, and I will be your voice at the end of the presentation and ask the two experts. So make use of your chance to directly contact them. And now I mentioned the experts quite a few times. I'm really happy that today in the studio here with me, I have my dear colleague Michael Zapp. He's
Hello.
An experienced technical consultant for protection and substation automation. And additionally, we have Jorge Diaz with us, a dedicated expert for the SIECAM 8000 RTU series. They too will share their knowledge around SIECAM 8. And I think by now, I hope that you are as curious as we are here, at least I am. And so, Michael, the stage is yours. Please tell us about the SIECAM 8000, our new power automation platform.
Thank you, Michaela, for the introduction. Welcome also from my side. Some of you may attended our SIECAM 8 unboxing session. There you got an overview about the idea behind SIECAM 8, and we promised more details in several follow-up sessions, focusing on the different aspects and components of our SIECAM 8 power automation platform. Today is the first session of our series, and we want to give you more information about the features and the concept of the SIECAM 8 power automation platform. What is the reason of extending our proven SIECAM A8000 family into a platform concept, namely the SIECAM 8 power automation platform? Let me come from the well-known 3 Ds: decarbonization and decentralization and digitalization, shaping the way of energy generation and distribution since years. Our customers need to expand their grids faster and need more data, which leads more and more to requirements like resiliency, efficiency, and sustainability. These requirements are applicable for the entire solution, but also for the individual products, and that means we have to offer secure, reliable, and patchable products, which are scalable, flexible, at the same time efficient to engineer. Overall, it ends up in the need for speed. Coming from our SIECAM A8000, we already have something from the SIECAM family. So what are the new features and how do these improve upon this, you may ask? That is a valid question. Our SIECAM A8000 family is already designed in the architecture to be modular and scalable regarding the hardware components with a strong global footprint and is engineered with the SIECAM Device Manager. Based on that, we are scaling further, not only hardware-wise anymore, but software-wise also as well. We offer our customers a platform where applications can run on the existing E8000 hardware, but also on a third-party industrial PC, if even more performance is required. This platform we call SICAM 8 Power Automation Platform. With this step, we open the door for functional integration with modular software applications on top of the hardware-wise flexibility. The SICAM 8 Power Automation Platform is a logical step of not simply developing new features for our SICAM E8000 family, but to develop new software applications in a modular and independent way, so that they can be used and installed on non-SICAM E8000 hardware components. Of course, this modularity of the software components should not only be considered for new developments, but also existing software components eventually must be modified in the same way to be part of the SICAM 8 Power Automation Platform. Some of our applications are already designed in that way. Some needs to be transferred, especially our SICAM control applications, but more about them later. With this platform approach, it can be stated SICAM 8 is our answer for all projects and areas wherever energy flows. Jorge will give you now a short overview about our SICAM E8000 family and explain what members of this family are part of the SICAM 8 Power Automation Platform and what new hard and software components are newly integrated into the new platform concept. Jorge?
Thank you, Michael. So you already know our SICAM 8000 RTUs. There are basically two family branches. One is made by the small CP8000, CP8021, and CP8022, which are wonderful devices on their own right. However, for more demanding applications where maximum performance and the highest cybersecurity requirements are paramount, the Linux-based RTUs have the best toolset available. Now, the smaller RTUs will not be part of our new platform, SICAM 8. Instead, the wonderful properties of the Linux-based RTUs are the basis for the new platform. The SICAM 8000 Linux-based RTUs run on a hardware which fulfill demanding requirements. For example, they are prepared to withstand rough ambient conditions, have high dielectric strength, are small in size, and can be scaled from the very small to very large applications. On this hardware, the so-called SICAM 8 software solution is running. This solution gives the RTU the capability to fulfill a wide range of demanding technical requirements, advanced automation functions, higher cybersecurity features, multiple communication protocols, and also the possibility to host user-defined applications, also known as CApps. The SICAM 8000 RTUs, while very powerful, are constrained by the supplied hardware. For example, if even a more extreme temperature range is required, or if some special features, such as capability to withstand extreme vibrations or ultra-high humidity are required, the SICAM 8000 could not be used. Also, the microprocessor available in the SICAM 8000 CPUs might not be enough to host extremely large applications. Well, with the new SICAM 8 platform, the SICAM 8 software solution can be installed on third-party hardware, which can be selected directly by the customer to fulfill the most demanding requirements. All that you need is that this PC is equipped with a compatible operating system, such as Linux Debian. The software you install on a third-party PC to use the SICAM 8 software solution is called SICAM S8000, and will bring with it all the advantages available in the SICAM 8000 RTUs, but with all the desired characteristics available on the provided PC. Now, since both SICAM 8000 and SICAM S8000 are basically the same software solution or platform running in different hardware, we can have software applications designed to run on the platform, which means that the same software application would run on any compatible hardware. It would be something very similar to what you have today with your tablets and cell phones. You may have hardware from different manufacturers where the operating system Android is installed. On top of this operating system, the user installs different applications specially designed to run on Android. This means the same application can, at the end, run properly in completely different hardware. With our new SIECAM 8 platform, we have exactly the same scenario. You can have either the hardware provided for our SIECAM 8000 RTUs with embedded Linux operating system and pre-installed SIECAM 8 core software, or a third-party PC with a suitable Linux operating system where you install the SIECAM S8000 software, which also includes the SIECAM 8 core software. In this way, you can install on any of these different hardware the SIECAM 8 application you need to run. Now, I hand over again to Michael, where he will describe the SIECAM 8 construction set. Michael?
Thank you, Jorge. Showing us the idea, starting from our SIECAM 8000 product family and coming to the SIECAM 8 Power Automation Platform concept. The idea behind the concept is modularity, and similar to the idea what led to the IEC 60150 standard, it can be said, the key is separation. Separation of the software applications needs, first of all, that the software is designed in a modular way, and that the different software modules can work as independent, but also together in case several modules are installed on the same hardware. And there must be a connector to enable the software applications to be installed on the selected hardware. For our SIECAM 8 Power Automation platform, we made that possible. The SIECAM 8 Power Automation platform can be seen as a toolkit or a construction set and is able to tidily connect the SIECAM 8 applications or software components, not only with the SIECAM 8 hardware modules, but also with third-party industrial PCs running under a Linux operating system. The glue of this connection is handled by the so-called SIECAM 8 core. The SIECAM 8 core is managing the central task of our SIECAM 8 system. For example, the coordination of the installed applications, all cybersecurity-related topics, and much more, like time synchronization, to name only some of these central tasks. The topic of cybersecurity is becoming more and more important as our SIECAM 8 components are installed in plants what are in the list of so-called critical infrastructure. The access to the SIECAM 8 hardware and software must be protected, and also the communication within the plant, but even more important, from the plant to, for example, a higher level control center. The SIECAM 8 core provides the necessary functionality, controlling the access to the hardware, for example, from the SIECAM device manager for setting changes, loading new firmware versions, installing new software applications, or starting some diagnostic or simulation tasks. The user management can be controlled and protected via role-based access control, shortly called RBAC, in combination with a central access server. The user who wants to have access needs to log in with his credentials, meaning username and password. With the login, also the user certificate containing the assigned user role is transferred, and the access server is checking everything and allows only the access to the actions defined for the role the user have, or reject any access at all. Security relevant access and changes must be safely locally stored and optionally forwarded to a central syslog server, allowing a so-called audit functionality. The SIECAM 8 core is managing this. For communication via Ethernet protocols, very often a security mechanism using secure and encrypted communication via certificate is required. That is called transport layer security or IP security. And also here, the SIECAM 8 core is handling this mechanism. When we call SIECAM 8, the SIECAM 8 core, the heart, tidily connecting the SIECAM 8 software with the SIECAM 8 hardware, the software would be the brain and the hardware, the body of the SIECAM 8 Power Automation platform. Let me now move to the SIECAM 8 software. I will give you a short overview, and Jorge will later step in and tell you more about this topic. The following SIECAM 8 software applications are already released and available. First of all, SIECAM S8000. As our statement, wherever energy flows is indicating, this application is bundling the standard functions of a remote terminal unit, RTU, collecting data from the process, for example, via connected IDs, and forwarding a subset of these data to a higher level control center, and sometimes another subset to an integrated soft PLC in order to configure own logics like interlocking schemes. This kind of application is typically for a substation automation system in a traditional distribution substation. Also, the next SICAM 8 software applications called SICAM HMI with SICAM event and alarm list. In the most cases, the monitoring and the control of the process in a substation is handled from a higher level control center. But very often it's also required to have within the substation a human-machine interface to monitor not only the status of the substation via a single line diagram, but be informed in case something happened, what needs at least to be acknowledged from the operator. That would be an alarm. And to have a chronological list of the events available in order to be able to evaluate and analyze the events or the incident correctly. Next software application is called SICAM Web. Especially during commissioning and during maintenance or supporting you in case of a failure, for example, when the communication to a partner is interrupted, SICAM Web provides a huge set of features. You can offline and online simulate and test your PLC logic, trace the communication protocols, monitor and simulate the data flow, and much more. Next SICAM software application is called SIAP. Jorge shortly mentioned it. A SIAP is basically a separate software application that runs on the SICAM 8 platform in a dedicated container with own runtime environment and can be developed from the customer itself. The SIAP can be fed by the information already available in the RTU. With this information, the SIAP can perform customer-specific functions without the need to invest for an additional infrastructure. SIAPs can be used on the SICAM 8 hardware, 8000-based CP8050 and CP83, and in the next step also on third-party IPCs. In the last slide, I explained, let's call it basic software applications. They can be used in all areas and, of course, are very often needed together with the so-called control applications. But what is behind the expression control application? Let me come back to the statement, wherever energy flows. At the beginning of this webinar, I mentioned the 3 days: digitalization, decarbonization, decentralization, and the way these are shaping the way of energy generation and distribution since years. The amount of renewable energy generation feeding into the distribution or even the transmission grid is growing year by year. A lot of nearly independent microgrids has been already installed, and there will be more in the future. Also, industrial plants need to reduce their CO2 footprint and using more and more renewable generation, additionally or even replacing their conventional backup generators. For coordinating such setups, for example, of photovoltaic and wind generators, battery storage and backup generators connected to the public grid, very sophisticated and powerful logics are necessary. With these logics, the optimized mix between own generation and infeed from the public grid are coordinated in order to keep operational costs and non-compliance costs minimal. But understanding of the physical connection between all the involved components and the necessary process know-how is very demanding. The SICAM 8 control application are providing these PLC logics, developed and tested from our experts with year-long process and application know-how. And the logics have been implemented, tested, adapted, and improved over the years in many real projects. These proven control PLC logics has been released for our SICAM 8000 used years. However, they must be transferred to the PLC logics of the SICAM 8 platform. That is started, and step by step, all the listed control applications will be released for SICAM 8. And as first SICAM 8 control application, the SICAM Dynamic Load Management is ready and released and can be installed together with the SICAM 8 software application like the S8000, also on a third-party industrial PC. The SICAM 8 software applications and control applications can be downloaded from our Siemens C-Portal or SIOS portal and, like always, be used for 21 days in trial mode. The unlimited use of the applications in runtime mode needs a license. Here, we are using the same way as already implemented for Cybertech 5 with the Function Point Manager. The Function Point Manager is a tool to create or upgrade license files for SICAM 8 software applications and or control applications on demand within minutes. The handling, respectively the workflow, is easy and straightforward. All that is needed is to register and create your Function Point Manager account. When that is done, you can order your SICAM function point budget, for example, needed for your project or for a year. As soon as the ordered function points are credited to your account, you can create within seconds the needed license file and generate and download the license file. The license file can be transferred via SICAM Web into your device. The last piece of SICAM 8 of the SICAM 8 construction set is the SICAM 8 hardware, where the SICAM 8 software can be installed and run. The well-known A8000 Linux-based RTUs, CP8050 and CP8031, with SICAM A8000 and rack modules are, of course, one host for the SICAM 8 software applications. That is nothing new, but already well and successful established worldwide. With the release of the SICAM 8 Power Automation platform, it is additionally possible to use Linux-based third-party industrial PCs as host for our SICAM 8 applications. That ensures a very high scalability and flexibility because you will be able to select and optimize the SICAM 8 components perfectly fitting for your use cases. When using only the necessary components, the footprint on the environment is much smaller and additionally you can save CapEx. The central tool for configuration and parameterization of SICAM 8 applications is the SICAM Device Manager, well known to the 8,000 users. No new training will be necessary as the workflow for new parts of the SICAM 8 Power Automation platform, like for SICAM S8000, are identical to what you already know. Working with a very efficient and familiar tool can bring your project faster into service. Before Jorge will give you an introduction of the SICAM 8 software solution, focusing on SICAM S8000 and SICAM HMI with event and alarm list, let me summarize the SICAM 8 construction set structure, not with any words, but with a slide showing the components, because a picture says more than 1,000 words. Jorge, please, your turn.
Thank you. So now let's take a look at the new SICAM S8000 software solution. As mentioned before, the SICAM 8 software solution will run both on our SICAM 8000 RTUs and on third-party PCs. When we install the SICAM 8 software solution on a PC, we are talking about the new SICAM S8000. The third-party PCs includes the Linux operating system upon which you install the SICAM S8000 package. The SICAM S8000 package includes the SICAM 8 core application required to handle the different SICAM 8 applications. It also includes the classical RTU applications such as signal management, programmable logic controller functionality, and communication protocols. In comparison to the SICAM 8000, where the performance is limited by the microprocessor available on the CPU modules, with the SICAM S8000 solution, the limit is set by the CPU of the third-party computer, which can be much more powerful than the standard SICAM 8000 CPU. Now, there is not a one-size-fits-all approach in the SICAM S8000 package. Depending on your needs, you can equip the solution only with the applications that you need, and you can scale it up as required through function points. In the first release, the SICAM S8000 will be able to support the integration of up to 1,200 IDs. Also, on this first release, only TCP/IP-based communication protocols will be available. Serial protocols will be available in the near future. CFC editor will be available exactly as in the current SICAM 8000. Also, the same cybersecurity features provided for the SICAM 8000 family will be already available for the SICAM S8000 from the very first release. And as in the SICAM 8000, the SICAM S8000 system can be conveniently managed and monitored via SICAM Web. Also, already from the first release of the SICAM S8000, some very important applications will be available. For example, the embedded SICAM HMI application with integrated event and alarm management can be used from the very start, so the need to provide an external solution for process monitoring will be averted. Also, the OPC UA server protocol will provide additional ways to exchange information with upper control levels. And the advanced SICAM application dynamic load management will also provide many benefits for the management of infrastructure with renewable energy sources. Now, although the SICAM S8000 can in general be used on any hardware with Linux Debian 11, we are pre-testing the system with some selected PCs or IPCs available in the market. So in case you want to reduce the risk of any hardware compatibility to almost zero, you could order one of the pre-tested models. At the end, the SICAM 8000 and SICAM S8000 solutions are equivalent. The SICAM 8000 comes from factory with its pre-installed embedded Linux operating system and with the SICAM 8 software solution, including the SICAM 8 core services. Similarly, for the SICAM S8000, you install on the third-party PC a compatible Linux operating system, and on top, you install the SICAM S8000 software, which includes the SICAM 8 core services. Then, with SICAM Device Manager, you configure the SICAM 8 applications you want to use on either SICAM 8000 or SICAM S8000, including RTU functionality with signal definitions, PLC logic, communication protocols, and so on. Finally, these SICAM 8 applications are loaded or installed on the SICAM 8000 or SICAM S8000 via the SICAM web service included in the SICAM 8 core. Now that we saw how the SICAM 8 software solution has been structured, we would like to introduce one of the new applications that will be available on our SICAM 8 platform in the following weeks, the SICAM HMI. SICAM HMI provides a web-based HMI hosted on the SICAM 8000 or SICAM S8000 automation units. Thanks to this solution, access to the different displays could be achieved through a standard PC or via an inexpensive browser, such tablets or small monitors, all while still following the highest cybersecurity standards. The SICAM HMI applications will be available free of charge when less than 200 data points are animated in HMI screens. If more than 200 signals are required there, a license can be installed to allow a higher limit. In the very first release, the license will allow the display of up to 2,000 signals in the SICAM HMI screens. The different displays and functionalities can be created with the same tool used for the whole SICAM 8 family, the SICAM Device Manager. You just need an additional license to enable the SICAM HMI editor functionality. Similarly, different event and alarm archives can be configured in the SICAM HMI applications, where up to 4,000 entries can be displayed free of charge. If a larger event archive is required, this could be achieved through an additional license, so that up to 30,000 signals can be stored in the SICAM HMI application. Now, Michael will give you some additional information about some SICAM applications available from the start for the SICAM S8000, and also some highlights about what lies ahead as per our current development roadmap. Michael?
Thank you, Jorge, for the introduction of SICAM S8000 and SICAM HMI with event and alarm list functionality as SICAM 8 software application. Stay tuned for the next session of our webinar series. There, Jorge and I will give you more details of SICAM S8000 and SICAM HMI. But now let me introduce you the first SICAM 8-based control application, what is released in the first step. The SICAM Dynamic Load Management supports the integration of charging stations into electrical grids by dynamically limiting the charging power. This often brings various challenges. But with the SICAM Dynamic Load Management, you can master these challenges. Challenges are reduction of grid extensions, or even in the best case, to avoid an extension at all, and also to avoid an overload of the transformers, and to minimize the peak loads dependent grid charges. With SICAM Dynamic Load Management, 5 different algorithms for this power splitting can be selected. SICAM Dynamic Load Management can be used as one example to take care of the challenges mentioned at the beginning. But before we come to the Q&A session, and before I will make a short summary for this session regards the benefits of our SICAM 8 Power Automation platform, let me give you some outlook of the planned features and components regarding SICAM 8 applications and hardware. Let me start with the SICAM 8 software solution. The most important SICAM S8000 functionality will be already available in this first step. But if you compare the RTU features provided on our own SICAM 8 hardware, like CP8050 or CP8031, you can see that further steps are necessary. Especially for important plants, very often redundancy, not only for the communication using parallel redundancy protocol or high seamless redundancy algorithm are required, but a hardware redundancy of the controller itself. These functions are, of course, on our roadmap, also when using third-party industrial PCs. The same is valid for the installation of C-apps, not only on the CP8050 and CP8031, but also on third-party industrial PCs. An important RTU functionality is the possibility to use input and output modules, hardwired, for acquiring process information, and the connection to IDs, not only via Ethernet-based protocols, but also coming from the history via serial protocols. The connection of A8000 input-output modules to a third-party industrial PC and having IDs connected via serial protocols is, of course, planned for our SICAM 8 platform. Similar for our SICAM human-machine interface, SICAM HMI, we plan an upscaling of the data points. Remember, Jorge mentioned in the first step, up to 2,000 data points can be dynamically used. Upscaling of the data points for use in single-line diagrams is planned, and additional modules, very often used within a human-machine interface, but also independent, are planned for the next steps. Example of such modules are archive for analog values, a measurement archive. The trending functionality to show trends, for example, for measurement values. Or archiving of fault records, what are collected from protection IDs or from dedicated fault recorders. And also a functionality of a human-machine interface that very often is required is the so-called topological coloring, to show what part is connected to what voltage level, what part of the grid is, for example, earthed. And much more is coming. Both SICAM S8000 and SICAM human-machine interface, HMI, are the topics of our next session in this SICAM 8 webinar series. And the registration link is the same as you have used for this session and will be shown later again. I shortly introduced the SICAM dynamic load management as first available SICAM 8 control application and mentioned that we are step-by-step transferring this programmable logic controller, PLC logic, of the other control applications to the PLC logics of SICAM 8 platform. The following SICAM control applications will be part of SICAM 8, step by step. Sorry, the SICAM self-monitor optimized grid, the SICAM photovoltaic plant control, the SICAM microgrid control, and SICAM load shedding control. But not only the SICAM 8 software applications will grow over time, but we will also introduce new SICAM 8 hardware components. The first new hardware to be released in the near future is the so-called SICAM AGS Enhanced Grid Sensor, designed to be used in secondary distribution substations for monitoring and control of the medium voltage ringmain units. But there will be more. With the SICAM Enhanced Grid Sensor, you will be able to monitor the conditions of the transformer and also the low voltage feeders. Please be tuned, as the detailed introduction of SICAM Enhanced Grid Sensor will also be covered in a dedicated session, part of this SICAM 8 webinar series. Jorge showed at the beginning of this webinar the SICAM A8000 family. You may remember that some of the SICAM 8 A8000 family members are part of our SICAM 8 platform, the ones with embedded Linux operating system, but some are not, because they are not running on an embedded Linux operating system. With the SICAM CP8010 and CP802012, new SICAM 8 hardware members are under development, with equivalent and even more functionality as these non-Linux-based A8000 CPUs. The planned compact RTU will have additional analog in and one analog input, and provides more communication interfaces, and can optionally also have an integrated LTE modem, including GPRS backup, and also a display can be snapped in as an option. Okay, let me now summarize the benefits of SICAM 8's Power Automation Platform approach, using independent software modules that can be installed on different SICAM 8 or even third-party hardware hosts. When you followed our unboxing session, the product manager, or I call it also the father of SICAM 8, Michael Schachinger, gave you a real use case example to explain the benefit. But why to reinvent the wheel again? I will use this example from Michael. Yeah, redundancy, Michael and Michael. Let's imagine you have a substation automation gateway project using for the gateway controller either an RTU hardware or an PC. For monitoring and controlling your substation, you use a dedicated HMI on a separate PC. Both parts, the gateway and the HMI, are hosted on different hardware components and must interact with each other, exchanging information in both directions. There can be, of course, some wizards or other tools available supporting the engineering workflow, using, for example, the import-export functionality. However, even that means additional work. With a platform, it will become much easier. The data need only to be configured once and mapped to the different applications, but run as modules on the same host. That keeps the engineering workflow lean, and even more important, ensures consistency and reduces the error rate. But not only during the first implementation and commissioning of the system, also during operation, using one platform where the different software modules are running in a modular and coordinated way reduces the time for modification or extension and eventually needed installation of new software modules or security patches. That saves time, and time is money. Using only one tool for the entire engineering workflow leads to reduced training times and better know-how of the engineering and operation stuff. That reduces error and again time. And time is, I will not repeat it, but you know what I mean. The example I used was showing only one application area. Please see now in our trailer that SICAM 8 can create benefits, not only for substation automation, but also in other areas.
With our innovative telecontrol and network automation devices SICAM A8000, leap into the future with SICAM 8. SICAM 8 is the logical development of our successful SICAM A8000 series. It's a new universal hardware and software solution that's a platform for energy supply field applications. SICAM Siemens information, control, automation, and monitoring wherever energy flows. Wherever energy flows, whether it's off or onshore wind or solar farms or hydroelectric power plants. That's power generation, transmission, and distribution. But don't forget, it also means SICAM 8 is for tunnels, industries, and rail. SICAM 8, it's for anywhere where energy flows.
Okay. Now let's have a look which burning questions came up during our session. Jorge, Michaela, please join me.
Thank you so far. And there are a lot of questions out there. Thanks for handing those in. And I think we will start with the oldest ones first. They might be kind of redundant because I think some of them you already answered during the presentation, but nevertheless, give our participants the chance to hear the answer once again, because then it's easier. Then it's easier to remember it. So AL wanted to know, do the CP8031 and the CP8050 have marine class society for example, DNV, GL, or ABS certificates to use an offshore environment?
I can answer that. That it's one benefit of this platform approach. We don't have this marine certificate for CP 8031 and CP 8050, especially it's very demanding tests like vibration tests and all the things. But with the installation of our software on our industrial PCs, there a lot of PCs have this certification, and as we are using the same components, what can now be installed on CP 8050 and CP 8031 on an industrial PC with this platform, then you can have a solution, a marine certificate, because our own CP 8050 and CP 8031 are not certified for this use.
We didn't spend the energy there. We just transferred it to a better box. Kind of. Okay, thank you. And then the next question that came in, from AL, what is the communication protocol between the CP 8050 and the S8000?
In this case, we are talking about like CP 8050 is a SICAM 8000, and S8000 is also same software but running in a third-party PC. So there are two different devices. How you can communicate them? We have a lot of communication protocols, standard communication protocols that you can use to communicate one with the other. IC104, 6150, DMP3, Modbus TCP.
Would be the same when you would have two CP 8050 or one CP 8050, one CP 8031, or even another CP 8021, and they must communicate with each other. All the available protocols can be used for this communication.
And there was the migration. The protocols we still have with a new.
It's the first step, the Ethernet-based protocol, and followed by also by serial protocols.
So eventually, so soon, we will have basically the same features in the S8000 as in the.
Perfect.
That's the idea of our platform.
Yes, it is.
Exactly.
And that's why we share the information right now. We don't want to wait until everything is migrated and perfectly there. But that's what's already there was what the market mainly requires. So just take it and start with it, and the rest will come later. Like this function point concept. I like that.
Yeah.
And then next question came in from EL. Is there any chance of having a DI or DO connected to a S8000 PC?
Actually, yes, it will be like that. Our standard A8000 input and output modules will be able to connect directly with an S8000. So you will be able to use the same periphery that we use in our 8000 in the S8000, only not in this first release, but later. And you will have the possibility to have many more input and output modules than in the A8000, because now you don't have this limitation of the power of the CPU.
So also here, an upscaling must be, of course, tested and released. But for example, what I'm seeing at the moment with CP 8050, you can have up to 4 racks, 19-inch racks connected from with the rack solution.
Or 15 external pros of
and so my feeling is that you can have the double amount, but let's wait till it's released and tested. But,
that's quite an amount of data. Cool, great to know that. And the next question that came in from EL, I think you already answered it in the presentation, because the question is, will the parameterization of the S8000 be done with the SICAM device manager as it's currently done for the A8000?
Three-letter answer.
Yes. I've seen that in the presentation. And that's interesting. Does the SICAM 8 have independent historian server to store data?
Well, the question is what is now understood by historian server. If you are going to the HMI solution we're having, SICAM SSA, based on Simatic WinCC, you can have a local archive, but additionally a long-term archive, what is called historian. That the concept, what I mentioned in the roadmap, we will have a local archive, measurement archive, a local archive also for fault records, yes. But if you are thinking about a long-term archive, like with SICAM SSC based on Simatic WinCC, that is not yet on the roadmap. The size of internal memory based on CP8050 is limited, of course. When using an industrial PC, it's larger. A local archive, yes, is planned, measurement archive. If you're thinking about long-term archive, that we must evaluate for the future. Yeah.
If this is necessary, or if this is more in the control center already there and you just communicate there, right? Yeah. But I understood it would be possible.
Yeah.
Depending on
measurement
the configuration.
Archive, yes. Archive, yes. But if you are thinking about historian, like this very sophisticated, high-level historian provided by SIMATIC WinCC, that's a totally different topic and not on our focus. Measurement archive, yes, but this large historian archive, like you know it as an option from SIMATIC WinCC, that is not on our focus for the solution.
Different approach, right? And then the next question came in from KA. In some old stations, there is still the need for a sequence of event records with 1 millisecond resolution. Can we promote the SICAM 8000 with HMI interface there, or is there a better solution than using the SIMATIC small HMI?
Basically, in our SICAM 8000 or S8000, all the events that are acquired are tagged with 1 millisecond resolution. And they can all be routed and archived in our solution. Actually, in the SICAM 8000, we already have an event list there. We have a process archive where we can also store information there. And with the SICAM HMI, we have also this EVA, events and alarms management. Of course, you can store all of this there, and you could use this as a local log for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do I need a dedicated HMI for that? Or would it also work, for example, with a web UI?
This is basically a web UI.
It's already there, right?
Web servers integrated, connected, let's say, hardware only needs to support HTML5. Yeah. And we are testing also some touch panels, what we can then recommend, and where a so-called kiosk mode, where you don't need to take care about any additional settings and installation. So we will recommend. Jorge is testing a lot of touch panels, what we can recommend. But at the end, you can use any HTML5 based touch panel.
So I just take my smartphone and need new glasses because it's really small. So maybe better with a
if you have
PC or a tablet, right?
If you have an Ethernet connection and on your PC, yes, why not?
Then it works, right?
And it must be support HTML5.
If the screen is too small, you can always zoom. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. And then the next question, I think it came in while you were showing the function point manager, because EL wants to know, will licenses be necessary also for the parameterization or only for runtime?
There are two kinds of licenses. One is for the configuration. That would be the SICAM device manager. So also here you can download the SICAM device manager and have the full functionality in a trial mode. But normally that it's a tool you need very often, so it's recommended to use a license. And that it's nothing new. All our 8000 users know SICAM device manager is the main configuration tool for our 8000 series. And for configuring the new HMI and the event and alarm list, it's only an add-on in case you already have a license for SICAM device manager. If you don't have yet a SICAM device manager, of course, you must also buy a basic license of SICAM device manager plus the add-on for HMI and event and alarm list. It's an add-on.
Yeah, and for runtime, if the SICAM HMI that you're configuring for the 8000 is you have less than 200 signals mapped to the displays, to the pictures that you are animating in single line diagrams or so, then if less than 200, free of charge, you don't have to license anything. Also, if you want to archive in the EVA, the size of the buffer is less than 4,000, no license. If you are going above those limits, then you need a license to be loaded in the SICAM 8000 or S8000.
All right. So some things are already inclusive.
That's a good thing, like you know it also from our CP8050, from our 8000 RTUs. Also, you can test everything, commission everything. It will run 21 days in trial mode. And it's not like in other trial modes, you start it once, and then if the 21 days are over, this period it's gone. If you restart, let's say power off, power on your host, then it will run again for 21 hours. So we can test everything, commission everything, and at the end, at the very late stage, create your license file and load it if everything is done, finished, and tested.
Oh, okay. So you can even extend the test cycle. Cool. And then the question came in, I think you might have answered it later on in the presentation, but KA wants to know, what is the SIECAM ESG hardware?
Okay, please, yeah, so it's not yet released. We're having some pilot projects. You saw, no, we don't have a picture. I'm guessing we took it out. It's already running in some pilot projects. That's the core of the enhanced grid sensor. It's in CP8050.
Exactly. We are using the same powerful processor of the largest Linux-based RTU that we have available.
So housing is a little bit different because we have additional, let's say, sensors specially designed for this use case, but the core is the CP8050 processor inside.
Yeah, that's an early bird webinar, this one here. You get a glimpse into what's in the pipeline. We already heard some pilots there, so it's already running, but we will not fully reveal everything right now. Stay tuned.
Dedicated session, I'm guessing, is in June or July.
Okay.
So it will be good.
Yeah, it will be fine. Yeah, thanks. So next question that came in from OT is, will it be possible to download an image with Linux and S8000? Oh, yeah, now I got the question again. Can you download an image where the Linux and the S8000 installation is already in instead of a manual installation? Especially important if people who are not familiar with a Linux operating system.
Yes, of course. I'm myself not a Linux expert, to be honest. And just for testing in the beta versions we have received, I just downloaded one prepared image for one.
So just click on EXA and that's...
No, so then I have, it's like a PC, an image, and a virtual machine with Linux. There, you can just follow the instructions that are quite clear in the manual to install the S8000 there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's...
And Linux, not being an expert in Linux is no longer an issue.
Perfect. So I just need to know how to work in the S8000, but the surrounding will just be delivered with the image, right?
And we will also present some webinars where we are just trying to highlight all these steps, so don't be afraid.
Okay, stay curious and stay tuned. And I think you're already registered, so you will probably receive more invitations. But we continue, you will receive more questions because AL refers to one slide where in total there were 1,200 IEDs connected to the SIECAM S8000, but up to 2,000 data points shown in the SIECAM HMI. And I think that's, let me see if I understood it correctly. It's a question of the license I already have, right?
Yes, so we mentioned, yes, on this first release, we have 2,000 data points to be shown in SIECAM HMI. But this shown means they are animated in single line diagrams. For example, okay, in pictures. If you are having signals that are going to the event list or alarm list, only they are not counted in this limit. So now the question is, how many applications do you have where you are animating in screens more than 2,000 data points? This happens only in large systems. So this must be enough for a lot of systems. And anyway, as I'll explain during the description of the roadmap, it is already planned to increase this limit a lot.
Okay.
And to be crystal clear, some of you may know for very large substations, and then you need a high sophisticated HMI also. Yeah, that it's not the target to replace here for these kind of applications what you may know, our SICAM SCC, that it's still available, can still be used for such applications, but we are scaling this integrated SICAM HMI, what is working as a web server solution. Also, the functionality will be upgraded, but it's not the target to have the full functionality of a SICAM SCC. So for more simpler application, upscaling will come, of course, from the number of data points that can be animated. Additional functionality like topological coloring and other things will come for this SICAM HMI, but not the full-blown, let's say, functions we provide now with SICAM SCC. So for this kind, SICAM SCC is still the solution. For other areas, SICAM HMI, it's a fitting solution.
And redundancy might go into the same direction. Is there any difference in redundancy of an A8000 and the S8000?
This is something that will not be available from this very first release. Redundancy will come in a later release soon, I expect.
Yeah.
And basically, there might be some differences in terms of the hardware, because the hardware is different, but in general, the principle would be...
It's a platform, so let's see, the general aspects of redundancy is identically, because it's a platform functionality and it's planned for...
But anyway,
next step.
This redundancy is a very vivid topic. Every customer solution requires a specific target. So this is a topic where our research and development is working continuously. So there will always be improvements for all our platforms regarding redundancy. It is already a good solution, but it will be even better.
All right. Yeah, redundancy stays important and is definitely on the roadmap, right? And SP wants to know something about the HMI. How many control commands are possible?
How many can be needed? I mean,
if you do it from the single line diagram, 2,000 data points. That means in maximum 2,000 commands.
But then you will not have any information feedback. So let's say if you are using one command and one feedback indication, then it will be 1,000.
All right, still a lot for a substation automation
and like
system.
Mentioned, the upscaling it's planned.
Is already planned, so should be fairly enough, I guess. And OT wants to know: has the S8000 been tested in the context of virtualization, ESXi or Hyper-V?
Yes.
No. Okay.
What's
that?
For example, from VMware or from Hyper-V, it's Windows. Windows-based virtualization software. ESXi is, if I'm correct, it's from VMware also. And virtualization, yes, we also tested it for be used in a virtual environment.
And I think, Jorge, you mentioned that you do the test in a virtual box, right?
Yes. I have it in a virtual box.
I have it in VMware.
And VMware, that is tested, and also other.
So other ones too.
Other virtualization software are under test.
This is the beautiful of the platform solution, because you need to, it is compatible in any system that has the operating system that is proper for that. So this is Linux Debian 11. You have a system that has this operating system, you will be able to use the S8000.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool with open platforms. And then PQ wants to know, do you plan to update the CFC to obtain the same large catalog of block like KEX Plus and ST language? And if yes, is there already a planned date? Is it on the roadmap?
The answer is yes. We plan to have all the same blocks that were available in the KEX solution in our CFC. About when it is continuously working. I don't have exactly the...
I'm guessing it's an internal Siemens member. If you are missing something, inform us and we will go in contact with the lifecycle manager. But as I mentioned, for the control applications, that is step by step. That's CFC logic of the SICAM 8 platform hosted on the SICAM device manager will have the same functionality as you have used in CX Plus.
Thank you.
But no new languages like sequential function part, ST, and is then new language. It's not planned, but the functionality is planned to have.
All right. There are still a lot of questions, and I think we will take one more to be answered here live. And the other applications, there are questions that are still there. You will receive an answer because the two experts here will get homework. They will have to answer all of your questions in a written form, and we will share this document with all the answers later with you. So, but let's just take one last question that came in from SV. Can the PLC in the RTU apply to time-critical applications?
Yes, of course. As before, so we are working in a real-time operating system, and that it's one of the very important tasks our development took care of. That real-time applications.
In the installation manual of the S8000, actually, you can check what are the requirements to be installed in this Linux operating system to support time-critical applications. And in the A8000, the system is already prepared for that.
Oh, cool. Great. Great to know that. So I thank you so far for all of your questions. That was really vivid discussion right here on stage for me. And I already mentioned, yes, you will get access to the recording. We will share the slides with you. And I hope that you've seen the advantages that the new power automation platform SIECAM 8 brings to you. Stay tuned for these webinars in the series of the SIECAM 8. And to give you another outlook, they are mentioned some of the SIECAM applications. We will also have dedicated webinars for that. So if you want to learn more around photovoltaic plant control, if you want to learn more about microgrid control, if you want to learn more on the SIECAM 8000, just join us on the registration platform in our electrification and automation webinars and take part in all of those sessions. Thank you so far. Thanks for taking part. Stay safe. Keep your automation systems up and running. And goodbye for now.
Yeah, also from our side. Cheers. Keep well. Bye-bye.